Bitcoin bull thesis, but this week the cryptocurrency could be, dare we say, back in Bitcoin purgatory. Bitcoin fell below 8,000 after breaking through that key level 1 week ago. This after the SEC rejected what would have been the first Bitcoin ETF. Investors now wondering if Bitcoin is doomed to be stuck in the 6,000 to 7,000 range that had been in place starting mid-May. Our next guest, though, says the drop isn't actually bad for the cryptocurrency. Bart Smith, the head of digital asset at Susquehanna. We call him Wall Street's crypto king. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Why is it not such bad news that this ETF was squashed?
So there's a couple things. When I was on about 3 weeks ago, and there were kind of two things we talked about. BK and I kind of talked about how a lot of the traders we spoke with saw that 6,800 level as kind of being something that needed to break through. Every time it got to 6,800, it kind of petered out and rolled over. Dan brought up the point that he didn't care about any rally because it was a bear market rally. We continued to have lower highs and lower lows, so we needed to break out of that. So you look forward to the announcement of a new Bitcoin ETF coming out. So you look to this past month, and there's a lot of enthusiasm around it. It gets to 6,800, it goes from 6,800 right to 7,300, kind of gathers there and goes all the way up to 8,400. The Winklevoss ETF is denied, and it kind of grinds back down to 7,500 here. So where are we today? Dan's point still remains, right? We need to see higher highs and lower or higher lows. And so if it continues to break through and hold at 7,500 and bounce higher, I think it probably is very bullish. The technicians I talked to are concerned about 6,800. That's the level where I think if it breaks through, it would be negative. Now, as far as the Bitcoin ETF denial, there are four commissioners. One was a dissenter, right? So Commissioner Hester basically said, this is, everything was put out there that needed to be put out there. The ETF should be approved. There were three commissioners who were concerned about liquidity and manipulation of the market. So you have to address those concerns and move forward. But it didn't go right down to 6,100, right? It held at 6,500 where it is today, and it probably rallies higher from here if there's more good news on the horizon.
What are bulls hoping for? Am I hoping for more regulation or less regulation? More adoption? How do I get, because when I talk to guys and I speak to global funds every day, I want to know how people can get a little more liquidity in these names, get in and out quicker, and how they can have the right to trade it on their desk. So I don't even know what I'm hoping for if I'm a bull right now.
So a lot of things we've talked about, right? A qualified custodian would be a big deal. If more banks were clearing the futures, which trade $400 million a day, about another $250 million a day in the exchanges that underlie them. So there's $650 million a day in U.S. liquidity there. What would be a big bull? If a big brand name pension, endowment, foundation, insurance company came out and said in a filing, over the course of the last 3 months, I took a 1% allocation of my equity risk bucket because Bitcoin basically has a zero correlation to stocks. And by going 1% Bitcoin and 99% equities, my risk profile is lower, right? Like Square is half as volatile as Bitcoin, right? So if I own $100 of Square and I own $50 of Bitcoin, I basically got the same risk on. So as soon as institutions start thinking about Bitcoin like that and not as this scary thing that needs to be regulated, I mean, it's about smart regulation. It's not about more. I don't think we want more regulation. I just think we want smart regulation and we want regulatory clarity.
Real quick question about Bitcoin, because one of the things that somebody pointed out months ago was a lack of volume. And as it was plummeting, volume completely dried up.
Yes.
Has the volume returned to give you the confidence that maybe it has sort of found that 6,800 bottom and that maybe it's going to start rising again? Is the volume return?
It's certainly, again, there's as BK always points out, the majority of this stuff, majority of the volume happens outside the U.S. U.S. volume is what I care about because that's what's going to get a Bitcoin ETF and U.S. institutions into Bitcoin. That has been pretty consistently at $400 million a day. It had dipped down to 200 where it kind of bottomed out, and now it's right back up to $400 million a day. CFE, CME futures combined, 6 of the last 7 days, over $400 million a day. So it's, $400 million is not nothing. It's enough that a big insurance company or CalPERS or a state, pension could put a little bit of money in there. And I think that would be the sign that, I got to get in now. Because right now, I think every institution is looking on the dance floor and nobody's dancing and no one wants to be the first person out there.
Has nobody done that? I know they've been circling for a long time. Nobody's even taken a 1% position?
I'm not saying, I'm talking about someone who's a big brand name. Someone filing. I haven't seen a filing where someone has said, a big brand name that has a 1% filing in the futures. And in the absence of a qualified custodian, they can't hold spot. So I think that's going to be a catalyst. I mean, There's other things too. If the IRS had a de minimis tax exemption for transactions under $600 where you don't have to report capital gains, that would be a big thing, because then people might want to buy, their McDonald's with a Bitcoin. But right now, if I buy McDonald's with a Bitcoin, I have to keep track of what gains I have on that and report that to the government. Like, that's an obstruction. So things like that are going to take a long time to work out. Everyone wants it fast and now. It's the society we live in. But this is a long game, and I think that a lot of things are happening out there where people see the opportunity, and we're going to continue to see institutional adoption and the plumbing get built so that that can happen.